in life and in business. Yeah, we have failures of business or business we didn't get. It's ongoing. You just try next time. And it's part of the educational process. You keep going on in business, then you just learn from your mistakes and move on. But you've got to want to do it. You've got to have to want to do it, right? Life is short, it's fragile, and we want to feel proud of ourselves. And that's the only way. You've got to have that. I've got to do it. I've got to try again. And that's me.
Welcome to the Age of Reinvention, discovering new lifestyle and purpose at midlife. I'm your host, Emily Bron, ready to dive deep today into the stories of those who dare to dream, dare to change, and to embark on the path less traveled. Today, we've privileged to have a guest whose life is thrilling tale of adventure and reinvention. Meet Malcolm Teasdale, once a tech entrepreneur and international business consultant, now a captivating author of several books, a charismatic public speaker, and the mastermind behind the globally acclaimed travelingenglishman.com. Malcolm Life is a testament to the idea that it's never too late to chase your dreams, redefine your purpose, and discover a lifestyle that fills your soul with joy. His journey, filled with experiences from every corner of the globe, is one that many of us can relate to or wish to resemble. Here's Malcolm with us to share this accelerating transformation journey, a journey that could be yours too. So get ready to be inspired as we delve into Malcolm reinvention journey. Whether you're on brink of major life change or simply curious about the possibilities, this story will illuminate your path to reinvention and transformation. Let's dive in. Originally from England, Malcolm relocated several times during the lifespan and has lived in Canada, Singapore, as well as spending over 35 years in the USA, where he currently resides in Florida. Malcolm is author of the several travel books and accomplished public speaker. Malcolm is also host of the known Travel Addict podcast, as well as the new podcast Two Breeds in America. Listening to the podcast, you can learn about Malcolm multiple travel adventures, discoveries of the new cultures, and explore how Malcolm deals with the physical and social challenges in far off distant lands in the effort to become educated and fulfilled. Hi, Malcolm. Happy to see and speak with you again.
Hello, Emily. Good to be here. That's quite the introduction. You basically said it all, haven't you?
Yes, I was well prepared. I was trying to catch on after our first conversation years ago. But this conversation, I will start with your words. You are never too old for adventure. I think it's what unites both of us, and I believe some other people who might enjoy our conversation. Actually, Malcolm, your life took a turn that nothing short of a blockbuster. What was a aha moment which made you swap your career boardrooms for exotic bazaars and ancient ruins?
The best way I can describe this is I started a technology company in the 90s, 1990, and I won't go into it in too much detail because it takes too much time, but basically we landed up being quite successful, and we expanded firstly in North America, then globally until we had offices in 4 countries and presence in 80 countries. I used to travel a lot anyway for business. So I was out of town a lot, obviously notched a few frequent flyer miles, but anyway. But eventually in 2013, because we had quite a large collection of intellectual property, so to speak, and our global presence, we were a target for acquisition. And that's actually what happened in 2013. And then a non-compete clause came in, which I understand that. My partner, he wanted to call it quits anyway. He's a bit older than me. And I said, okay. And so that was it. But I got bored. I got to be doing something, probably after 6 months. So I thought, well, I love traveling. So that's when I started to travel a little bit more to the places that were off the beaten path, so to speak. And I've always wanted to do this, so I made a point in doing so. I've been doing that for the last few years. I continue to do it today, which I find it enlightening. It makes me happy, and of course, it's very educational, and I like learning stuff. So I'm still doing it until the time when I can't do it, or the doctor says to me, Malcolm Teasdale, you have to stay at home now. You're done. So anyway, the story, the adventure continues.
But I believe it's hard for you to rid of your travel addiction at this point, or how you balance all this, your desires and actual recommendation from the doctor's side.
Well, I always have to have something to look forward to. So I'm looking a year ahead, and I do speaking engagements today on for various cruise ships around the world. And so they usually get booked probably up to a year in advance, which is fine. And I don't like things at last minute. So I have some other vacations to look forward to. I'm in the process of moving house. So my life is full at the moment. So I'm not going to do anything weird and wonderful this year outside of the country. So until I get moved. But in the future, next year, we'll be busy, back to normal, so to speak, next year. If going back to normal is actually traveling as opposed to moving house, I don't know. But anyway, this is what I do, and this is what I enjoy doing. And I just came back from Asia about a month ago as well. So that's great. So I'm still doing it. You got to do what you want to do, right? If you've got the ambition to do it, it's possible. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm fortunate, but I made the effort to be able to do it.
Tell me, please, you're still doing your public speaking on the cruises? Like, in what circumstances it's happening?
Yeah, I got quite a few subjects, but my public speaking on cruise ships is just entertaining the passengers. I talk about global destinations, I talk about adventure travel of foreign cultures around the world, which I've learned a lot about because when I was in the business world, what I did, if I'm going to a foreign country, I made a point of learning a bit about the country's history and a bit about their culture before I went there, which I think is important for anyone who does or want to do international business. Learn about the people or the country you're going to visit. And it makes a big difference. And it gives the impression that you're very interested in doing business with that company in the nation you are visiting. So anyway, over the years, I've just learned quite a bit about countries around the world, and I continue to do so. And it is great because you have an appreciation of the way they live and why they live that way, and mainly because that's the way they want to live. It builds in that feeling of acceptance and respect, and which is quite very important today. I'm continuing to do it.
Great. I have similar approach, and actually I like to explore and in advance to read about history and culture of the place because I get different feeling after then when I better understand what's going on and why people are reacting the way they acting. Obviously, you need to learn a lot and actually live in a country in order to be fully immersed in the new culture. But I believe with your experience, you have advantages of quickly turning to the certain area vibe and mentality trends. And now coming back to our age of reinvention, and you are now transitioning again. So even a relocation to the new place, it's a big step. I can know that transitioning to a new phase in life often present challenges and obstacles. Could you share some of the hurdles you encountered on your journey of your own reinvention and how you overcome them?
How I overcame my fear or obstacles to be able to do what I do today. And I don't know, really. It's just over time decided that, or I felt secure in going to these places that I do go. And if I go to, you mentioned a place earlier on before we got going here, Ukraine. Now, I went to Ukraine at the end of 2021, and I was there before the trouble started. And by the way, Emily, I'm not responsible for what's going on now, but anyway, but when I consulted the travel.state.gov website in the US, it said basically say don't go there. And the other websites from other countries said be careful. So I went there, and that was fine. The same thing with St. Petersburg, Russia. The US State Department said, don't go there because the consulate just closed down and there was a spat. But the UK and the Canadian one said, it's great, just go. And I went, and it was brilliant. If everyone's saying don't go there, then I won't go. But yeah, I just overcome fears. And it's not as bad as people make it out to be, because I've had this conversation with so many people where I tell them places I'm going to, and they ask that question, why do you want to go there? Isn't a third world country? And I say to people, do you know where the term third world come from? Yeah, it's a long story, but they don't know. But obviously, when I tell people I'm going to these weird and wonderful places, I'd never heard of it. It's probably about time you did. There's a lot to learn out there, and to meet the people who live in these lands and have this respect and knowledge about the way they conduct their lives. Yeah, so the fear was there initially, especially going out to these countries on business, but I made a point in learning a bit about the culture before I went. So that fear really just disappeared, to be honest with you. I've had a few near misses on my travels, but that's all right, all part of it. I'm still here, I'm still alive. I don't really have any fear. And I think just educating yourself from a travel perspective, educating yourself about the places you're going to and learn a bit about the culture gets you to overcome that fear. And that's basically what I did. Probably not as bad as people think it is.
Yeah, I'm traveling myself, and very often as a single woman in Latin America. Obviously, I do my homework. I'm learning about the place and transportation points. And yes, there's some a little bit hesitance fear at the beginning, but after you started doing it, I think you are okay. And our American Canadians embassy and travel advisory sometimes too cautious, because majority of people are not prepared. I think maybe there is one of the reason. And how you would define the role of the travel in your personal growth and development? Because you was speaking a lot in the podcast and in your books about all your experiences. Can you summarize now how it affected your personally, your life and view of the world?
How it affected my life, let me compare it. In America, there's only, about 10 years ago, only 37% of Americans had passports, active passports. It's gone up a bit now, but it's still not many compared to other places. But I think what it did to me, expand my horizon. And I think to become more educated about how the rest of the world works is very important, because it gives you this respect for other countries. Because I hear conversations, I've heard these conversations about people say, oh, you see, what a stupid country. Why do people live like that? It's like, no, you just need to know a bit more about the country before you start putting it down. And that's it. It's commonplace to hear people say, who live, whether it's in America or UK or Canada, yeah, we live in the best country in the world, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's normal to think that, but when there's a problem, and then it's easy to blame the other, they're wrong, not us. But no, it's definitely educational, and that's why it's made me a better person, really, because I actually have a good understanding of how the rest of the world works. And I can talk about it freely and go into discussions about, during my conversations on cruise ships, people want to know. So what was it like there? Why did you go there? Like the Ukraine thing. Yeah, I went there. Beautiful architecture there, unbelievable architecture in Kyiv. And the people were just very nice. And I felt real comfortable there. But it's surprising to some people. Why would it be like that? No, you've just got to experience it to understand. That's why I feel it's done me a lot of good.
For me, being born in former Soviet Union and traveling in many countries and living actually in Ukraine before, it's not surprise, but it's still surprise that people are thinking that there is nothing interesting in this part of the world, which it's not the case. And yes, I believe you do a good job on educating people and opening these windows of different cultures and countries, and actually helping people to appreciate the other cultures, not only Western. Where I live now, I certainly see the differences, and sometimes I'm missing Western Europe. I lived in the Middle East. I often visit lately Mexico and Latin America, and I'm enjoying these cultures because I'm learning a lot from the people and who lives there. Yeah, so it's all what makes our life so colorful, I believe.
Yeah, let me give you an example here as well, Emily. In one year, I was camping in the Mongolian wilderness, right? Who would do that? But I stayed in a jury yurt, and it was in the middle of nowhere, basically. Unbelievable scenery. And I spent some time, a day or so, with a nomadic family, okay? And they invited me over for dinner. I think that's what it was. Or was it lunch? I don't know. But it was the man, his wife, and the young boy. They lived in a farm. And I was talking to them, and it was very interesting. And I asked the question. I said, look, Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia, is about 6 hours drive away. It's really a nice modern city. And you live where you do on this farm out in the boonies. Why don't you move to Ulaanbaatar? And the guy said, no chance at all. We are happy here. That's where our ancestors were. We're happy here. We're going to live the rest of our lives here because we like it. And then I listened to a bit more. I thought, I can understand that. I understand his reasoning. Now, describing that to someone else who's never been there, God, what an idiot. Why would he want to do that? But understanding his way of life, and I experienced that time with him, and I came away, yeah, I get it. And that applies to a lot of people who live in these type of environments where we would not even think about doing so. So that's just an example. There are many, but
I always appreciate such a stories, and I fully believe and understand why people from different cultures can be and actually happy in a places like that, because they might enjoy even more high developed spiritual life over there, being in natural environment, connected with higher powers, living in the nature and continuing their traditions. So it's amazing, like from my point of view. And I believe that your various career changes taught you a lot about success and failure. How have your views on success and failure evolved over the life, and what have they taught you about resilience and determination?
success and failure, I think you're asking me, right?
Yes.
It happens in all, it happens in all your life. You can have success and failures, right? You just have to, the failures are just, could be mistakes, could be something you couldn't do anything about. You just move on. When I started my business, technology business, yeah, we made mistakes, but you just move on. It's a learning thing. You learn from it, basically. So that's it. You just move on and lessons learned. I talk about this in one of my books. You just learn from your mistakes and move on. The successes you can look back on and say, that's great. I remember this. Another thing, Emily, from even when I was growing up, that's a long time ago, but cameras were invented, but to a degree. But I always kept around photographs, videos, magazine clippings, newspaper articles, things like that. I made scrapbooks. I've kept scrapbooks around and photo albums. And I could always look back on them and think, oh, yeah, I remember that. The only reason I do that is because one day I'll be lying in bed, I lost my mind and I can't think, I'll be looking at reading this stuff and think, I did that. Anyway, that's another thing. But yeah, and you look back at your mistakes and laugh at them. Yeah, I can't believe I did that. Yeah, that's all part of it. Just move on. And it may be difficult for some people to say, oh, I made a mistake. How can I even try do this again? You have to keep on trying. My parents, they were World War II veterans, and they were good to encourage me through life as well until they passed away a few years ago. So, yeah, it's all good. I learned a lot as I go along. The more you learn, the more you go along in life, the more you learn. And it's a continuing educational process is growing up.
What would be your advice for aspiring midlife reinventors, my listeners and followers? What specific steps or strategies would you recommend to others in midlife looking to reinvent themselves, but being the hesitant to take the first step? For example, networking, exploring new hobbies. What would you say for people on the brink of changes?
On the brink of change, just try it, do it. If you don't try, you'll never succeed. And if you don't succeed first, try again.
But try with open mind because people have high expectation that it's gonna work quickly, and people are afraid of failures, which is natural. But what your strategies like from your experience?
You've got to, I think the first time you get disappointed, it may be upsetting, but you learn to deal with it. And you just have to look forward, I think, at the time. Well, what I did, I sucked it up and I just moved on. And I had the realization that, yeah, I made a mistake or it didn't quite work out, but you've got to keep on going. Our old phrase is, at first, if you don't succeed, try again. It's a famous phrase, and that's true. And I'm not one for giving up. Even the sporting event, people go to a sporting event, they either win or lose, but if they lose, they have to try again, don't they? We don't just say, I'm not going to play that again. No, that's it. I play golf regularly, Emily. I'm a hacker, what they call it, golf. I don't take it seriously, but if I hit bad shots, I try and make myself better. Even today, as an old geese, I try and make myself better at the game. But in life and in business, yeah, we have failures of business or business we didn't get. It's ongoing. You just try next time. And it's part of the educational process. You keep going on in business, then you just learn from your mistakes and move on. But you've got to want to do it. You've got to have to want to do it, right? Life is short, it's fragile, and we want to feel proud of ourselves. And that's the only way. You've got to have that. I've got to do it. I've got to try again. And that's me.
Thank you. And what would be your advice to some of people who are considering relocation to the different country at the midlife?
I would really encourage that. And I spoke with my sister just a week or so ago, and we talked about people relocating. About 300 people moved out of the UK last year. Many people have moved out of the United States, but it happens in many countries in the world. Whatever reason it is, they want to try somewhere different. I would encourage it. I've always tried to encourage my son to go and live overseas and teach English, maybe in Asia. A lot of people do that. I've had podcasts with people, and it's an enlightening thing to do. Most people who move overseas, they have no regrets whatsoever. In fact, I haven't met anyone who did regret it. Places they go to is Mexico, Latin America, Costa Rica, Panama, their favorite places, Portugal, Spain, places in Asia. These are great places people go to where they have great healthcare, cost of living is not too bad, country is safe, and they can be at peace. They don't need a big house. They just want to live comfortably. And so I would encourage that. But there are people out there, I realize that they're frightened too. Or people, why would I want to live anywhere else? I live in the greatest country on the planet. We're the best at everything. And if they say that to me, I said, in what category are we in the best? Category? Yeah, you can't be good at everything. And that's when they become unstuck. But anyway, yeah, but to encourage people to go and live overseas for a period of time, I think it's a great thing to do.
Great, thank you. So, what is the next chapter in Malcolm's adventure? What is on your horizons after your relocation?
Moving house and all that, selling this, and then get this out of the way, and then moving up to North Carolina, and then move there next year, get this year out of the way. I've got a cruise to go on later on this year, which is to the southern part of the Caribbean. And then next year, totally different. I've got a couple of cruise ship gigs and I'll be going over to Europe again, probably Asia, and the adventure starts again. Just to continue in where I press the pause button ever since I came back from Asia in March, press the pause button, and then until next year, and then start up again. That's pretty much it. Ongoing. I'm doing it while I can, Emily, right? That's basically it.
And I believe this way we became more active, more invigorating, and we continue to be young. The more we are moving, the more we're prolonging our active lifespan. We get joy and more opportunities to enjoy the world around us. And I just can tell that I am following your steps with all information I have, and I would be looking for the new books, new podcast episodes. And I wish you the best in your journey without the end.
You're doing your fair share of traveling, and that's good. I've seen your posts on the internet, LinkedIn, I think, and then it's all good. And I bet you're happy as well. You're doing it. You're traveling around, and yeah, you're doing it while you can. All good. Yeah, people don't. Soon as you mention travel, some people think it's too expensive. I can't afford it. No, not necessarily. You plan accordingly. You travel within your means, and even relocation to maybe another country, which you brought up, it can effectively be standard of living. The cost of things could be 50% of what it is here, depending on where you go to, but you might be in a better place. And that's the important. No harm in trying.
My travel over the last years actually connected with business search, but I'm enjoying it and I make it the best from it. And I am in a verge to relocate to Mexico. Actually, I have already a temporary residence in Mexico, but because of the business needs, I'm still in Canada and involved with a different project in Western Europe now. But I really like it. And one of the reasons for me for the new podcast, actually, to share the stories, not only mine, but people like you, and encourage people by these stories that life is going on and it's up to us to make it really interesting and fulfilling. Thank you very much, Malcolm. I was enjoying our conversation as usually, and let's be in touch.
Okay, thanks, Emily. Take care of yourself and safe travels wherever you go to. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. The same to you. Bye bye. And just like that, we've come to the end of another enriching episode of the Age of Reinvention. A massive thank you to Malcolm Teasdale for joining us today and for sharing his remarkable journey from the boardroom to the far reaches of the earth. For everyone listening, we hope Malcolm's stories and adventures have ignited a spark within you. Whether you are ready to embark on your own journey of discovery or simply exploring the possibilities, remember, your next chapter is yours to write. If today's conversation struck a chord with you, or you are hungry for more tales of transformation and adventure, don't be a stranger. Reach out, share your stories, and become part of our growing community of midlife reinventors. Be sure to tune in next time for more insights, stories, and guidance on navigating life's transitions. Until then, keep dreaming, exploring, and embracing the beautiful journey of life. Remember, it's not just about finding yourself, it's about creating your new self. Here's to your next adventures. Cheers.